Yo YouTube, what's up? Your boy Center here. We're just doing some photo workflow over here on Twitch. Check me out, twitch.tv/only_center when you guys are watching this video, because I'll probably be live or I'll be live later tonight on the day that it's uploaded. But I'm just gonna show you guys my workflow. We're doing skin retouching. I'm doing frequency separation is my method. This photo, the first photo we're starting with, is, I mean, you can obviously, there's not too much to retouch. I've done my basic Lightroom editing already. So I have this Photoshop file over here, which has all 25 photos. Started with 183, came down to these 25. We already edited a bunch of these. All the ones with the greens, the ones we've already edited. Orange are ones that we're skipping for now. But I decided to come to this one because I really like this photo. I'm just going to show you guys my process. It's not right, it's not wrong. You know, do how you guys like and learn what you want from me. So we are going to hop into this. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, for you guys' sake, I'm gonna name our layers too. Normally, if I'm in my own workflow, I don't name them unless if it's for a client. If it's for me, so we're gonna do high frequency layer, and we're gonna do our low frequency layer. I don't know why I right clicked. So I'm gonna name HF and low F or LF. Sometimes I'll just do low, high, or yeah, I'll either just put an H and L, low, high, or I'll do abbreviation LF, HF. So for high frequency layer, we're gonna go filter, other. I'm on an older version of Photoshop, so I have to do it like this. There's newer ways to do it through the image apply feature, which isn't available for this version. So instead you just do filter, other, and you do high pass. Now this is gonna pull your textures through, all your textures through your picture. And really what you're looking for is you want to see if there's enough detail, if the details you want to get rid of are there, the details you want to blur, and there needs to be enough detail to blur the details you want to get rid of with the others. So like this, there's enough skin texture here that I can, that it's like there's substance there, and I can see the blemishes that I want to get rid of, and that's what you're looking for. Now you don't want to go too high. Some people go too high, and it can make your picture look really, really bad. Or I don't want to say bad, but like it has a look that I don't go for personally. So yeah, this is good enough for me. I might try seeing what happens when I go a little bit higher. So here you can see, like, now it's doing it really, really pronounced, but so is every other feature in the picture. That's obviously way too high. I try to keep mine around the 3 area, between 3 and 6. It also depends how zoomed in you are in your photo. Also, I don't know why I'm leaning forward like this. So now once you get your high frequency layer like that, I drop the opacity down. I try to keep mine around 40, between 40 and 60%. Once again, it depends on your zoom. I've really been, with these kind of zooms, I've been going a little bit lighter. And then you're gonna change your blending mode for that layer to linear light. And then as you can see, you're gonna see your textures and your edges a lot more prominent right now. And it also helps improve your photo, I think, personally. Instead of doing destructive editing and putting in like clarity or any of those other like basic settings that you would see on like some Instagram editors, some editor you get on your iPhone. Not hating on any of those by any means, except for the fact that they are destructive. It is destructive editing, and you have less control over it than if you were to do it in Photoshop. So if you have the means, I highly recommend doing these kind of edits in Photoshop, because if you were to throw clarity in, it's going to bring out all these lines for sure, every line in the photo. And you don't get control over it. You can do the same thing in Photoshop using a high pass or any type of frequency separation. And then with this, I can control how much, where, will it, like, you can control all of it with the opacity. So if I want to max out clarity and look like an Instagram girl, there you go, right there. And yeah, I think I'm sticking with a little bit lower than 45. I think I'm okay with 43. So that's our high frequency layer. What I'm probably going to do with this one is, so that way the wall doesn't act as pronounced, because see, when I do this, it brings out the texture in that wall a little bit more, is I'm actually going to mask this whole layer, and I'm going to erase. So like I'll actually do that right now before we even do the low frequency. So what it does is I just added the mask there, and I press Control I, which inverts the mask, so it's not applied to anything right now. Actually, I'm not even going to do a mask. I changed my mind. We're going to back it up, and we're going to take the mask off. I'm actually just going to erase directly on this. I'll do it at the end. Change my mind again. Look at this. I'm already mixed up. Okay, filter, blur, Some people like to do a Gaussian blur, however you want to pronounce it. I call it Gaussian. I do a surface blur though. What you're looking for here is just so you can blur it enough that colors. So the whole point in your low frequency layer is just for colors. So your goal is you want to have it blurred enough to where you can colors blend and there's less of a distinction or a contrast in the skin tones. So when you're zoomed in a lot, you're going to want a little bit larger of a blur. When you're not zoomed in as much, a lower blur is better. So I'm actually going to drop my blur, I think. I was liking the look of 3. Yeah. Because you blur it too much, it's gonna come out a little bit weird. Okay. So now we're gonna do some zooming in right here. I'm gonna put these two frequency layers instead of a group, and we're gonna call this frequency separation, so FS. That's what I'm abbreviating as. You guys can do whatever you guys like, as long as you can keep track of it when you go back and you know what you're looking at. So you'll see the difference. Here's what the color is going to do. It's going to blur that skin just a little bit more. I'm actually going to bring that opacity a little bit, honestly. I did a little bit too much. We're going to do 85%, right around there, just because I'm OCD about the numbers. So this is without those 2 layers on. Could have just turned off the folder. That's without both those layers on. That's with. So you're going to distinct some of those lines, and we're going to bring out the colors. Or blur them a little bit. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out the spot healing brush. Some people like to use the regular healing brush. I prefer spot healing. Personal preference. We're going to make this brush a little bit smaller because we don't want to do too much. So first I'm going to touch the frequency. So what you want to do is anywhere where you have something breaking surface or changing texture, you're going to want to edit this. And some people like to turn off all colors and just edit on the frequency layer. So I could throw like a background layer here and do it. So I could throw like a background black layer in and I could see the frequency a lot better, like you guys saw earlier. Or I could even change it to normal and then put it back to 100%. So like instead of 43 that I was at, I could turn to 100%, and now I can see just texture. That's just editing textures to smooth all of this out perfectly. But I don't like to do it that way. If you have a tendency to over edit, then you probably want to do that. But editing it like this will allow you to not edit texture based on color. So like because the colors look off, you could end up editing texture. Like, so you're in this layer and you're like, oh, this right over here looks weird, and you think it's a bump that you'd fix in the frequency layer, but it's not. It's something that you'd actually change in your low frequency layer rather than your high frequency layer. So you just do a little bit of touching up like this, and as for small blemishes, this works pretty good. I have mine set to content aware fill. Proximity match will take it'll sample the proximity and the stuff around it. Content aware already kind of does that, so I just leave it on content aware. Now also, you guys may not know what I'm actually touching right now because of I've been editing a lot of photos of this girl's face, so I know where most of these actually are. But your idea is just to get something that looks very, very what's the word I'm looking for? You don't want anything that looks crazy abnormal, any like high contrast differences in the skin. Obviously, I'm not gonna go blur the lines in her nose because those are actually good lines. We want those. Same with her eyes, like those are big ones that you want to keep, and lips. Anywhere you see like things that look like blemishes, so I know she has a few right here on her chin. Also, try not to drag too far. When you drag far, it's gonna change the sampling, where it's sampling from, even with content aware. It's gonna change where it's sampling from, and that can be a little bit dangerous because if I were to take a swipe and go all the way across here, it's gonna sample all the stuff from here and it's gonna fill the entire thing with all of that surrounding data. So like there might be pink in the middle of the entire strip because I cut through the lips. Now I can tell right here there's actually a hair going across her chin right here, and I'm gonna take that out. Actually, just so you guys can see what I'm talking about, we're gonna drop this back into 43. I'll edit the rest of this looking normal, just for those of you who want to do it that way. So look, I already edited the frequency layer, but look, it's still there. It's because it's also a color layer. It's a mole, so it has a difference in color. The second I go and I touch this This low frequency layer, it's gone. Ta-da. Because it is present in both. But not every imperfection is present in both layers. So, you do have to worry about this. Is pollen. She got pollen in her face. And I can tell you that is part of the low frequency too. Or the high frequency too. Because I already dealt with this problem. Yeah, so we have a problem. So I need to swipe from the left towards the right there. That way it grabs some more content from the lighter area of the face to the darker area. Now we have a problem with bags in her eyes, and we've dealt with this in a few other photos. And this photo, since it's a lot more zoomed out, it's going to be a little bit of an easier situation to deal with. But it should be a good thing for you guys to get to witness. So we already did most of the forehead, so it's kind of just a lot of color now, low frequency, because we already ran through it at the high frequency. You guys will see a lot of this stuff will just start to disappear because I've already went through the low frequency and the high. This is a bigger blemish. I need to suck colors in from around it. It works the same way if you're doing sampling. If you're doing a proximity match sampling instead of the content aware. I just prefer content aware. Content aware is very amazing if you guys haven't used it. And it works for many, many tools. When you're doing like selection fills and stuff. So I'm just going to keep going here. Try not to do too much, but just enough. I keep pretty natural. Some other people you'll see, maybe some other like big photographers on YouTube and stuff like that, and like photo editing channels, they'll apply this blur to the entire face, and they'll mask it to areas, and they'll kind of leave it on the entire face, and then have it heavier, like masked heavier in the areas of blemishes. I'm not a fan of that because it gives the face an entirely fake look. And it's not that I don't think it looks good, because I do think it looks good, but it's not a style that I am comfortable with myself. And I prefer to keep my models looking like my models and not like perfect human beings. But if you're working in the professional field, you know, they don't give a fuck. So that's a high frequency too right here. Yep, that's gone. We're just gonna keep going through here. Just making sure to touch up everything. It's not going too deep. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna zoom back out. Now you have to be careful when if you're someone who thinks that you over edit or you're scared to over edit, be careful when you're working on a heavy zoom, because when you're working on a heavy zoom, you see a lot more than you should. So just be cautious of that and try to edit from a little bit further out than you think. So you can see here, her skin looks very, very good. We might take out a little blemish right here. You just want to take out what's distracting. If you're going for a look like mine, I only zoom in to do the work. That way I'm very precise in my work. Yeah, so it's right here. I don't have my, I'm doing this with a mouse and keyboard on my monitor instead of doing it on my tablet like I normally do. So I could gather this content for you guys and stream it on Twitch. But I have to like keep my finger to work. So like now you see that blemish is gone, and you just really want to focus on what's distracting from it. I still see 1, 2, 3, 4 that are kind of distracting a little bit. Maybe this one too. But here's already our before and after. We blended them in a little bit, but they can definitely blend it a little bit more. But if you like to keep it more natural, I recommend working from a more zoomed out point of view and only getting the details that distract from what you want the subject to be looking at. Now these are mostly color things, but I'm going to go over them again with frequency because in terms of this texture, it's not really going to hurt. Some people prefer to do dodge and burn over height or frequency separation. I personally don't. There's another spot. I think it's just color. It's right here. It's this little shadow. We're going to do a bigger pass over that and over this. Try to blend that color a little bit better. Might even go a little bit bigger with the brush. So one thing we can also do, which you might see, this is generally done when you do, if I end up doing this method, I think I will for the eyes. So we still got a little bit going on right here. And right here. It's mostly coloration on her nose. Okay. So like when I look at this now, skin looks beautiful. It looks natural. It doesn't look like it's overtouched. There's a little hair going through right here. I might want to take out because it's distracting, and I can see from that far away, so I know it's distracting. Just this little hair right here. That's mostly gonna be a frequency type thing. But the color is still gonna be there. There's still a little bit of brown from the hair, so we're going to have to blend that into the face and get rid of it. There's a couple ways to get rid of hairs. This is my favorite. At least for hairs going across someone's face like this. And when you're zoomed in, it's also going to look like blurry, but keep in mind when you're zoomed out, the 4K photo, it's not quite like that. Okay, I'll blur that just a little more because it says still a little bit dark right there. And now when we zoom out, it's still kind of there because that dark side. The problem is we don't have the shadow working with us very well for this piece of hair. Yeah, it looks like I'm gonna kind of be stuck with that hair, I think. I'm just not a fan of what's going on with it. I'm just gonna back this. I'm gonna back this up a lot. We're gonna bring that hair back. So you see it slowly coming back. It just looks the same to me. The blur looks the same as if the hair was still there, so we're gonna take that back. What I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna run an erase layer right through here. And we're running at 4% flow, so it won't hurt too much the layer. I'm gonna up the flow to like 20-30%. Drop it back down, leave it at 6. Yeah, so actually did look better. Ripple our actions. Yeah, we'll step back to this erase. Zoom back out. Here's definitely a lot less visible. I'm gonna keep touching this up real quick because the way it works, the shadow makes it look like a continuous thing. Oh shit, we don't want to do that. So this is usually the thing that you do with dodge and burn. You can definitely eliminate with dodge and burn, and that's the reason why some people prefer it. It is definitely harder to do within frequency separation, but getting rid of these, anything on the face, I feel like is easier to do it, and it keeps a more natural look doing frequency separation. You can also go very in depth with frequency separation and make the face achieve the professional, highly edited, like perfect skin. Like where the point where you're editing like skin texture, like pores and everything like that, like to the point where it's like really not their skin anymore. You can do that in here as well using frequency separation. I prefer it, definitely. I do some dodge and burn type stuff, which we're gonna do on the eyes, I believe, underneath of the eyes. Okay. Now, I'm not touching that up. Skin looks beautiful. We're zoomed at 33% right now, or according to it's 33%. And that skin looks beautiful just like that. I love it. We finally hid that hair well. Just took a little bit more work on it. Just a little bit more time. So now there's a couple things I'm gonna look at. So with this frequency layer, I'm gonna go take this and I'm actually gonna apply an erase. We're gonna run the eraser. I'm gonna run it a lot bigger. Crank the hardness all the way down, and we're gonna take the flow up like 70%. And we're really gonna try to just erase, and you have to be careful because when you have your hardness on 0%, it's gonna feather out kind of far. So I just don't want to take too much away. I just want to make sure that we're not gonna have. I'm actually gonna crank this down to like 20%. You want to make sure you're not gonna touch the subject, and you want to make sure you keep crisp edges where you want attention to be. Make sure we have everything out here. Take a little bit off here, right here. Yeah, so now you can see it. It's bringing out the colors in the hair. Sweater's getting more in focus to faces. Those are the areas you want. Now not everyone does it. Some people like to keep the frequency on everything, but it's I don't really care. I like it like that. We're gonna zoom back into this frequency layer and pull back out the healing brush tool. So one thing I like to do is these bags underneath their eyes in this photo are not bad at all, but some people would rather not have them there. So I'd like to do a little bit of work on them. If you do too much, it'll start to have a bad effect. So we're just gonna we blended where the lines are, where these like crow's feet are. They're not even really crow's feet, but we'll call them that. And just blend a little bit of the color. So I'm dragging the color in from down in the round. I'll zoom out a little bit, and you can already see the before and after of the eyes. So like specifically with colors, see that we drag that right eye, drag back that so it doesn't look as deep, but it still looks pretty natural. Now one other thing I could do, and I'm just gonna do it to show you guys, but I'm gonna delete it, and I'm not gonna try to make it look really good or anything. I'm zooming in a lot, by the way. Is you can make a new layer. So just go ahead and throw on a new layer. Change its blend mode to color, or you can leave it on normal, and then just pull out a brush. So I don't know why my brush isn't pulling out. There we go. And then run either your opacity or your flow. I usually do flow for this, but we'll run opacity on 100% and flow down to like 5%. Okay. And then you're gonna take your eyedropper, which I don't know why it's not letting me select my eyedropper anymore. And you're gonna sample the colors. Make sure your sample size is on average, either 5x5 or 11x11 average for portraits. So what it's gonna do, instead of, if you haven't set to point sample, wherever you click, it's gonna pick the exact color on that exact pixel. You don't really want that. So if you do a sample size 11x11, it's sampling an 11 pixel radius, and it's gonna take that average color. And then you're going to take that and you're just going to paint it over. And you're going to want it something nice and light. And you can already see how this is affecting it. I have mine on a pretty high flow, though, and opacity. So, like, you normally want to do something like 2% or something. And you just slowly but surely put it on. And you don't want to make a huge difference. So, like, and each spot, so, like, over here, it's a different skin tone, for sure. So you're going to want to sample over here when you do over here. That way you can kind of blend in the eye a little bit more. And just keep doing that for every area you're in. I'm not going to go too in-depth because I'm actually going to delete this layer. I don't want this. Not here. I prefer keeping it a little bit more natural. So like, I'm just doing this to show you guys, but then you can do that, and then that's before, that's after. And it may look weird zoomed in. When you zoom out, it's completely gone. So that's before, that's after. That's before all of it, after all of it. Before all of it, after all of it. I just can't. I think. I'm actually gonna do it to both eyes, honestly. So we're gonna go back, hit this frequency layer, pull out our healing brush tool, and with the high frequency, we're gonna take out these lines right here. Now these lines, just from looking at it, you can tell that they're a mixture of color and texture, because there's a dark line in the middle. So you can definitely tell that there's some color in there that needs to be blended. And when you do this, it's gonna blend that. So we don't really have to do any color adjustments with the color layer. Maybe a little bit in here, but even that might be I don't want to touch the right eye too much, as this photo, I mean, honestly, just very, very good right here, I think. So when we're zoomed out, not even all the way, we're just zoomed out a little bit. We're looking at this. Skin textures look very natural, look beautiful, and there's no blemishes. Don't see any blemish in the cheeks. The chin could use a little bit of color correction if I were looking to do that. I don't think I'm going to though. I like keeping this natural. But one way you could do this is doing dodge and burn and darkening this a little bit, and then you can also do the same thing with our ears. So we're gonna call this our color fix layer. We forgot to name that, but that's your color fix layer. You could also do the same thing where you take sample from out here, brush it in, sample from out here, brush it in, sample from over here, brush it in, and slowly work on that and brush everything in to really get rid of that. And if you're doing dodge and burning, or even with the color fix layer, you can even do it, or just an exposure adjustment layer. Take down some of these like glares maybe on the forehead, the nose, here. I personally, I'm okay with them. Some people are not. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do some exposure adjustments to the eyes and the nose. So we're going to call this eyes. We're going to throw in a mask on there. We're going to invert the mask, Control I, inverts the mask. That way it's not applied to anything. And then we're going to put our brush and we'll make sure we're selected. First, select the adjustment so you can see the square around the adjustment layer icon. And then crank it up as much as you want. Just crank it up a lot. That way you can see it. And then click back on the mask. Pull out your brush. Make sure your brush either has a low flow or low opacity. I like to do flow when doing this. So then I'm going to go and just color in this eye. And actually we're gonna swip this. I changed my mind. We're gonna actually do opacity, and the reason why is because I'm not normally I'm using a pen tablet, and with the difference here is when you do opacity, I can go like this around and pass over the same spot, and it's not gonna make it any brighter as long as I'm on the same mouse stroke. When I'm using keyboard and mouse, it's just going to be all the same. While if I use flow, it's continuously applying it. So if I go over the same spot again in the same brush stroke, it will still apply it to there. It'll make it brighter. It'll make that shine through a little more. When I can go this 100 times and it will not be brighter in the middle with opacity, while it will with flow. So I did that on a really, really low thing, so we can actually crank this up all the way. I should have just changed it up to 6% or something. It's fine. And then we're going to do another exposure layer, and we're going to call this detailed. Call it detail. Throw another layer in here, Control I, invert it, and then we're going to crank this one up all the way, and we're going to learn from mistakes in the last one. We're going to get this up to 4%, because this is going to be very minor detail we're going to touch up right here. Click back on the mask. Pull out your brush tool, and the first thing I'm gonna do with this, I want to pull some detail into this eye right here. So we're into the nose ring right here. So we're actually just gonna we're gonna brush stroke over this a few times, just get that nice and bright. Pull a little bit of extra detail towards the center of the face where we want it to be looking. That's the goal of this portrait. And then I'm gonna go like this, and I'm gonna apply this exposure all the way around this eye. And I'm going to do the same thing on this eye, and then I'm going to come back to the other eye. So I'm going to go back over this eye. I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller, and just to pull it a little bit detail and make the eyes feel more alive. So I'm just going to go with this and go one time over, and just do some strokes inward towards the center of the eye. Just do a few of them. Don't overdo it. Or you can definitely give it a little bit of a fake look. And you may not see the difference now, but when I can guarantee you when we do it, turn the layers on and off, you will see it. Shirley is very good look. The subject has like really attractive eyes as is, so we're really just pulling that out, those details out in the inner eye. So now you'll see this is with it off, this is with it on, off, on. There's definitely a pop that goes on in there. We have it at 2.8. I'm actually going to go 2.9. We're going to up just a little bit. Yeah, just enough there. Here's the overall eye. I'm actually going to go back over that one more time with a 2%. That way we hit a 4%. Brush, we're going to make that bigger. So I'm going to go over the entirety of the eye. I'm actually going to hit the nose ring as well too. Just make the nose ring a little bit brighter. It's not sticking out as much as I'd like it to. So we're just going to hit that again. That one more time. You want the whites in the eyes to stand out a little bit more because it helps to attract to the eyes. Okay. Now I may have done a little bit too much of the nose ring. Yeah, so I like where this whole hole is going. So here's the face overall before. This is the overall picture before you guys can see, and then we're gonna zoom in just a little more so you guys can get a little bit more of that detail in there. What you're seeing now. Keep in mind you're not gonna be zoomed in this much when you're posting this on Instagram. So that's before, that's after. So like, look, there's a beautiful texture she has here of her skin, and she just has a few blemishes all over. And the goal is just get rid of those blemishes, at least in my editing technique. The goal is just to keep her, and just get rid of the little imperfections that are ever here and there. I'm gonna retouch one more spot as I'm noticing right here. Where did I just see it? Right here on the eye. So I'm gonna drag inward towards the eye to try to keep that vibe that's going on right there. And there we go. That fixed what I was looking at. And if you ever keep looking at it and you keep seeing things wrong with it and you keep wanting to retouch it, take a step away for a little bit and then come back to it. But that is the full before and after of this photo. Before, after, not including my Lightroom editing. That's a totally different thing. If you guys want to see that, let me know in the comments down below and I'll definitely upload my next photo shoot when I do the before and afters in Lightroom. And then this. But yeah. Definitely worth learning. If you guys want to see detailed tutorial on dodge and burning instead of doing frequency separation, some people like to do dodge and burn after this, which what that would basically do is that would take away a lot of these really like high shine spots where this light's reflecting in her. But that's the look we're going for in this photo, so that's the reason why we're not editing them out. As you can tell, it's really dark on the left side of the photo over here, and then we move over to a very bright section, so it gives it a dynamic flow. Naturally want to like your eyes kind of tend to go from left to right because of how we read, and you can tell that's the way the light's going, and we like the way the shadows and the highlights are playing on our face with that, and I'm gonna keep that because of it. So if you guys are wondering why I didn't do that, now we also have a high frequency here. We're gonna go to our low frequency, and we're actually gonna spot heal this right here, this little thing in the wall, because that can distract, and that's actually a normal thing to come in here and do. Just anywhere to see some weird stuff going on the wall and just your background. This is pretty common. You'd have to go through and erase it. And you don't have to give it as much detail as you do everything else because of that was actually something on my lens. I'm pretty sure there's a little bit of blur in her hand right here. It's not gonna be noticeable in a final render for Instagram or anything, but all things to look out for. Just point out some details. I was gonna play music, but I'm scared YouTube will kill me again. So tear down my stuff. And I'm liking it. There's not anything that's crazy distracting. That's a little bit distracting, but it's not worth trying to do too much about. I'll try increasing my brush size, and maybe we'll drop it out of there. That worked a little bit better. It's still there though. It's okay. Let me actually. I actually made it more noticeable with that, so I'm actually just erasing from that area. Yeah. And there we go. That's the finished product. That's what I'm happy with. That's what we're gonna save. Also, always make sure you're saving your files, guys. Don't be like me. Don't wait till you're done to save, like I just did right there. So I have a bunch of these to go through. If you guys want to see the rest of them, I can take them to the VOD and send you guys, upload the VOD directly to YouTube, and you guys can just watch the whole thing, or you guys can come straight to Twitch, just watch the replay straight on Twitch. But that's it. That's the retouch. Looks great. Love it. Let me know what you guys think below. Thank you and have a great day.